Salve cantanti and welcome back. Today, another video on Le Nozze di Figaro, which is part of the Repertoire Series, Volume 1. Today we're going to be looking at our first aria. I'm actually very excited. It's at the very beginning of the opera, and I think it's quite important to begin from the beginning, so we get a little bit of an understanding of how the piece, what the mood is from the very beginning. So let us begin, but before we do, if you're interested in working on Le Nozze di Figaro and doing so with meaning and impeccable pronunciation, check out my website below. I've published a volume, part of the Repertoire Series, which focuses on the main arias from the repertoire, so from this opera, giving you the text, the pronunciation, grammar and vocabulary notes, interpretation suggestions, and performance considerations, as well as the full score and both a literal and an idiomatic translation. So if you're interested, check that down below. Now, let us begin. So, we have Cinque, dieci, venti. What happens here? Well, we don't know yet. We really do not know. So after the wonderful Sinfonia, we're just essentially flung right into the play. So what I suggest we do is that we listen a little bit to how the aria goes. So hold on. There we go. Hold on, sorry. There we go. Okay, so let us go. By the way, this is a wonderful recording. I'll share the link down below. It's publicly available on YouTube. Everyone here is exceptional. Everyone. It's a wonderful, wonderful performance. So let us listen. This is going to be the recurring theme of this aria, this duet. So here we can see Susanna with her hat and Figaro just scribbling down something. And she's confused. What is he doing there? Let's just play a few more seconds so we actually hear what's going on too. Cinque. So what's going on here? Well, Figaro is measuring. He's counting things. So, as we find out, there's a very specific reason why he's doing this. So let's read. Let's read straight from the score. By the way, this is a publicly available score. It's the full opera, but in piano reduction. So that's amazing. If you're interested, send me a message and I'll tell you where you can find this. So, cinque. Dieci, venti, 30, 36, 43. Okay. And then, Susanna. Ora sì che io son contenta. Sembra fatto in ver per me. What is she referring to? She's talking about the little hat she's made for herself. So on the one hand, we have this contrast again. Figaro, measuring things. I actually have a measuring tape here somewhere. There we go. So Figaro's literally doing this. Cinque, dieci, venti, 30. And then Susanna is there saying, oh yes, this looks so beautiful. It really does seem like it was made for me. And then, let's move on. Figaro continues measuring. Cinque. And then, guarda un po', mio caro Figaro. Guarda un po', mio caro Figaro. Guarda un po'. Guarda un po'. Guarda adesso il mio cappello. And then she finally says it explicitly. Guarda adesso il mio cappello. Figaro doesn't even pay attention. 36. Guarda adesso il mio cappello. 43. And then, guarda un po', mio caro Figaro, guarda adesso il mio cappello, il mio cappello, il mio cappello. She is getting a little bit upset because, as we're going to find out, it's their wedding night. And this is what she's made for herself. So, And then, guarda adesso il mio cappello, il mio cappello, il mio cappello. Sì, there we go. Sì, mio core, o re più bello, sembra fatto in ver per te, sembra fatto in ver per te. So, yes, sweetheart. This, yes. Now it's better. So we can assume that Figaro just, plays around with how the hat is placed on her head, or maybe just makes a teeny tiny adjustment. And yes, now it is prettier. It does indeed seem like this was made for you. And then this wonderful, guarda un po', sì mio core, guarda un po', o re più bello. And then we have another little exchange. Tarapira parapira parapira pam, tarapira parapira parapira pam, sembra fatto in ver per me, per te, per me. And then we get to the real point of this aria. Per te al mattino, alle nozze vicino. So the morning of our wedding is near. Quanto è dolce al mio tenero sposo. Questo bel cappellino vezzoso che Susanna e la stessa si fe. So, we are so happy because we're about to be married, and oh, how my little hat pleases my husband or my wife. They both say the same thing. Questo bel cappellino, this pretty little hat, this adorable little hat that Susanna è la stessa si fe. She made herself. And that's it. It's a pretty simple. There we go. It's a pretty simple text. There's not much that's going on here. It's not particularly complex. But, so let's read the text once again. So, there we go. Cinque, dieci, venti, 30, 36, 43. 43, but when you're singing, you're going to 43, 3. Ora sì, ok, ora sì che io sono contenta, sembra fatto in ver per me. And all these lines and these little small syllables have to be very, very beautiful, very, have to be full of grace. It has to be light. Ora sì che io son contenta. Can't be. It shouldn't be legato either, because you can clearly see the indications, the little slurs. Ora sì ch'io son contenta. And not, ora sì ch'io son contenta, sembra fatto in ver per me. This big, massive line. No, this is not the place. Sembra fatto in ver per me. Guarda un po', mio caro Figaro. Come on, Figaro. Have a look. Guarda adesso il mio cappello. Sì, mio core, ora è più bello. Sembra fatto in ver per te. And then, guarda un po'. Ora sì che io sono contenta. Oh, sorry. Sembra fatto in ver per me. Tarara. Ok. Il mattino, alle nozze vicino, quanto è dolce al mio tenero sposo. Questo bel cappellino vezzoso che Susanna è la stessa si fe. Now, there's nothing else here. That's it. You repeat the same. Yes, it's a repetition. So this aria isn't really, it's not a showstopper. It's not a showpiece per se. It's a really nice introduction to what goes on. What is perhaps even more important than the aria itself is what we get in the following recitativo and the little, the recitativo and what comes directly after. So I think we should move on. So, cosa stai misurando, caro il mio figaretto? What are you measuring there? What are you doing there? Io guardo se quel letto che ci destina il conte farà buona figura in questo loco. So I'm trying to see if the bed that the count is giving us is going to look good here. And then Susanna, è in questa stanza? No, sorry, I made up the recitativo. È in questa stanza? Certo, Ano la cede generoso il padrone. Of course in this room. The count graciously gives it to us. And Susanna says, io per me te la dono. You can have this for yourself. I don't want any of it. And Figaro says, e la ragione? Why? And then she says, la ragione lo qui. What does this mean? The reason for this, I have it here. And Figaro says, perché non puoi far che passi un po'? Qui, o qui, o qui. So, if it's in your head, why can't you just tell us? Why don't you just tell me? And then, Susanna, perché non voglio? Because I don't want to. Sei tu mio servo o no? And then Figaro, ma non capisco perché tanto ti spiaccia la più comoda stanza del palazzo. I don't understand why the most comfortable room in the entire palace is not to your liking. And remember, so, della più comoda stanza del palazzo, perché io sono la Susanna e tu sei pazzo. So, palazzo, pazzo. Pazzo is crazy. And what's her reasoning? I don't like it. And she asks, why? Because I am Susanna and you're crazy. Which of course is not an answer. She's trying to hide something. And then, vabbè. Grazie, non tanti elogi. Guarda un poco se potria starsi meglio in altro loco. So Figaro says, thank you for your kind words, essentially. Try seeing if there's anywhere else that could be better than this room. And then we have the little duet, which I think is very charming. But that is for the following video. In the following video, we're going to be looking at that because it's quite important. Now, this was it for Cinque, dieci. If you're interested in studying and singing this repertoire with full meaning and impeccable pronunciation and showing everyone that you truly understand what is going on, that you really feel what you're singing, you can check my course and my volume down below, which is dedicated to Le Nozze di Figaro. As I said, I go through the most important arias, both solo arias, duets, and ensembles. And through the volume, I explain, firstly, context, the text itself, and many potential difficulties, both from a pronunciation point of view, as well as from a grammatical point of view, because these texts, these libretti, are very old, and they were written in a very florid, poetic language. So if you're interested, you can work on this material directly with the volume. Now, if you want to take it a step further and you're interested in one-to-one tutoring, once again, check my website down below. I offer one-to-one, fully tailored and customizable Opera Italian lessons to singers and lovers of music. There's no cookie-cutter method. We work exactly on what you need and what your needs are. And we work exactly on, well, what your objective is. Do you want to learn the language? Do you want to be able to sing well? Do you simply want to work on specific pieces because you have an audition or it's a new role and you'd like to understand how it worked, what the context is, who the character is? That's absolutely no problem. If you're interested, check my link. Check the link down below. And without me going on forever, I'll be seeing you in the next one.